Ever wonder what really makes a modern business tick? From your morning coffee to the music you stream, there's this invisible engine running everything in the background. It's like a company's brain and central nervous system, all rolled into one. Today, we're going to demystify this digital nervous system and see exactly how it works. I mean, seriously, think about this for a second. You're at a Walmart, you scan a bottle of dish soap, and in that exact moment, miles and miles away, a supplier gets a notification to ship a new one. How on earth does that happen? Is it some kind of magic? Well, not quite. It's an incredibly powerful information system in action, a perfectly timed digital dance. The answer is something we call an information system. And that digital nervous system analogy, it's honestly the best way to think about it. It senses what's happening in the real world, like you buying that soap, it processes that event, and then it triggers an immediate response, like telling the warehouse to restock the shelf. This system is the absolute core of how modern companies operate, make decisions, and frankly, how they win. So, here's how we're going to break it all down in this explainer. First, we'll look at why businesses pour so much money into these things. We'll cover 6 key strategic goals. Then we'll get into what an information system is actually made of. And trust me, it's more than just computers. After that, we'll see how they magically turn raw data into powerful insights. And to wrap it up, we'll take a tour of the different systems that exist for every single level of a company. All right, let's dive in. First up, the why. Companies don't spend billions on tech just to have the latest and greatest toys. No way. They invest in these information systems to hit very specific, very important business goals. The best way to think about these 6 objectives is like climbing a ladder. You start at the bottom, right? The first rung is achieving operational excellence, just making the business run as smoothly and cheaply as possible. Once you nail that, it opens the door to creating cool new products, services, or even whole new business models. That allows you to get super close with your customers and suppliers. With all that in place, your decision-making gets way better, which gives you a real competitive advantage. And today, getting these steps right isn't just a bonus. For most companies, it's about pure and simple survival. And this isn't just textbook theory, right? We see this stuff in the real world all the time. Walmart's mind-boggling efficiency, that's its legendary supply chain system. Apple didn't just sell an iPod, they built iTunes, a revolutionary business model for music. High-end hotels like the Mandarin Oriental use their systems to remember if you like a firm pillow, creating incredible customer intimacy. And let's be real, could you even imagine a bank today that doesn't have ATMs? Of course not. It's a basic cost of entry just to survive. Okay, so we know why these systems are so critical, but what exactly is one? It's so tempting to think it's all about hardware and software, the computers and the code. But that's only one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. A real successful information system has 3 essential dimensions. First, you've got the organization itself. That means the people, the company's structure, its culture, the day-to-day processes. Second, you have management, the leaders who have to make sense of all the information and actually make the tough calls. And finally, you have the technology. And here's the absolute key. If you ignore the people and the management side of things, your expensive tech project is almost guaranteed to fail. All 3 have to work together. This leads to a super important idea called complementary assets. Think of it this way. You can go out and buy a Formula One race car, but if you don't also invest in a skilled driver, a pit crew, and a new way of working, you're just going to have a very expensive piece of metal sitting in your garage. The technology is the car, but the complementary assets, the training, the new business processes, the management support, that's what actually lets you win the race. All right, now let's get into the how. How does an information system actually do its job? At its heart, its fundamental purpose is to take a bunch of raw, meaningless facts and turn them into something that helps a human make a much smarter decision. So let's start here with the raw material. What you're looking at is just a stream of raw data from a supermarket scanner. It's a list of codes, names, and prices. By itself, this doesn't really tell a manager anything useful, does it? It's just a sequence of events with no context, no meaning. And this right here is the critical difference between data and information. Data is just the raw stream of facts. It's noise. Information is when you take that data, you organize it, you put it into context, and you make it meaningful so someone can actually use it. The whole job of an information system is to build that bridge from data to information. And it does that with a pretty simple 3-step process. First, you've got input, where the system gobbles up all the raw data, like our checkout scans. Next comes processing.
This is where the magic happens. It sorts, calculates, and organizes all that data. And finally, you get the output, where it serves up that processed information in a useful format, like a report, for the people who need it.
And boom, there it is. That chaotic jumble of data we saw a minute ago gets processed into this clean, simple sales report. A store manager can now see in a single glance that they sold over 7,000 units of Bright dish soap for a total of more than $9,000. Now that is information. That's something you can actually do something with. Okay, so now we get the fundamentals. But here's the thing. A CEO needs totally different information than somebody working on the shipping dock. And because of that, companies have different, specialized systems for every level of the organization. We can generally group them into 4 main categories. Down at the operational level, you've got transaction processing systems, or TPS. For the middle managers, there are management information systems, MIS. For the analysts, you have decision support systems, or DSS, and way up at the top for the senior execs, you've got executive support systems, ESS. Let's start at the very bottom, the foundation of it all, the transaction processing system, or TPS. You can think of these as the digital workhorses of the company. They are recording every single routine transaction, every sale, every timesheet, every single reservation. They are the source of all the data. Without a functioning TPS, none of the other systems would even have anything to work with. Now, building on top of that foundation is the Management Information System, or MIS. This system takes all of that raw data being collected by the TPS and, well, it turns it into reports. Remember that sales report we just looked at? That is a classic MIS output. Its job is to give middle managers a clear picture of what's going on so they can monitor performance and keep things on track. Now we're getting a bit more sophisticated. A decision support system, or DSS, is for tackling the really unique, tricky problems, the ones that don't have a routine answer. Think of a shipping company trying to figure out the single most profitable route for a cargo ship. A DSS uses complex models to analyze tons of variables, fuel costs, weather, port fees, to help an analyst figure out the absolute best option. And finally, at the very peak of the pyramid, you have the Executive Support System, or ESS. This is the command center for the C-suite. It takes a super high-level view of the entire business, often displayed on a digital dashboard, and it even pulls in external data, like news on a competitor or new market trends. The whole point is to give top leaders the big picture they need to make those huge, long-term strategic decisions. You know, when you really boil it all down, all of these systems, from the simplest TPS to the most advanced ESS, are all working toward one thing. They're all trying to live up to this quote that a company's success really just depends on how well its processes are designed and coordinated. These information systems are the digital glue that holds all of that coordination together. So if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Information systems are basically the alchemists of the business world. They take a worthless raw material, simple data, and they transform it into something incredibly precious, strategic value. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question for the future, doesn't it? We've just seen how all these systems are designed to support human decision-making. But as artificial intelligence gets more and more powerful, you have to wonder, will we reach a point where these systems move beyond just supporting decisions and start making the big strategic ones all by themselves?